Yeah, so quick update about this. It's weird, but I'm actually recording the show out of order. You see, I just recorded a really interesting commentary, one that I think is going to speak to many fans of sports teams that have suffered pretty big losses over the past few years. But that's a preview for later in today's show. Because instead of talking about this handsome lad on the screen, I wanted to talk about another handsome lad who happens to be a hockey player who plays for the Montreal Canadiens. His name is Noah Dobson. You know him, you love him, he's been very good for the Canadiens. All of the, let's just say, defensive gaffes that Islanders fans promised Habs fans would see out of this guy, I feel like in 12 games, he's only really had maybe 2. One definite, really bad one, but then, none others that stand out really in my mind. So Noah Dobson, for the most part, 25-year-old defenseman, 6'4", 194 right-handed guy, signed on till the end of 2033, making $9.5 million a year. I'd say that he's been very good. And his presence alongside of Mike Matheson does some very good things for the Montreal Canadiens. He plays 23 minutes a night. He gets all the tough matchups with Matheson, it allows Lane Hutson to play with Demidov, and everything works well for Montreal, especially when you see yesterday that they beat the Sens in overtime. That's great! But, as we had spoken about in yesterday's Canucks video, I don't really think hockey fans or Canadian hockey fans were paying too much attention to Canadian hockey games yesterday. I think there was something else that was taking over the minds of the subconscious. But either way, the reason we are diving into Noah Dobson one more time is because of this recent interview that was done last week with New York Islanders GM Mathieu Darche, who explains what really happened with Noah Dobson. Now, this, I'll be very clear, it's not the first time we've made a video in this vein. We've spoken about Dobson in the past, and we've even made videos talking about what Mathieu Darche has said about Noah Dobson and the trade. But I feel it is only necessary to cover our bases and dive into everything that's being talked about with this Canadiens team, because GM Mathieu Darche of the New York Islanders went out there and had himself an interview with the JIC show in Quebec on that same October 22nd. Let's dive into what this article reads. It's in French, translated to English. It'll be linked in the description if you want to go out there and read it yourself. Mathieu Darche explains what happened with Noah Dobson and the New York Islanders. The statement at the top of the piece here says, "You shouldn't think that things ended badly between Dobson and that squad." GM Mathieu Darche categorically denied that his relationship with the Montreal Canadiens' current defenseman had been bad, which led to the infamous draft day trade. There was no animosity in all of this. I have a very good relationship with Noah Dobson's agent. I met with Noah in my office a few times this summer. My goal when I accepted the job here was to sign him. We didn't come to an agreement, so since I was risking losing him for nothing, I decided to maximize his value. The Quebec GM assured during his appearance on the JIC show Wednesday. I don't think Noah Dobson is a defenseman who can't defend, Darche clarified. He's an excellent hockey player. It's just that I had a certain price tag. That's all. And price tags be damned. I mean, rumors were coming out that Noah Dobson and his camp were maybe looking for something in the $10 million range. Hey, if Darnell Nurse can get 9, anything's possible for Dobson. But he ends up settling at 9.5 with Montreal, a number that you could debatably say was a lot less than if he had signed with New York. Just something about the Summerside PEI guy going over to the Habs and being a true number 1, where he doesn't have to compete with Matthew Schaefer and all this stuff, and he's being given a role, and there's a lot of positive vibes with the Canadiens, and not to say the Islanders don't have any, it's just things are kind of different with that team and their stage. And Mathieu Darche is saying very clearly here that, yeah, I had my own personal number. It's not that I don't think Dobson can't defend, it's just he kind of wanted a little bit more than what I was willing to shell out. And it's interesting here that he says as well, my goal when I accepted the job here was to sign Dobson, and I didn't want to lose him for nothing. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, was Noah Dobson not an RFA when the contract expired? Let's go over to Puckpedia and just look at the last deal that he had. Of course, he's on a $9 million deal now, $9.5 million, but if we go back over $4 million contract over there. Yeah, his contract expired as an RFA. What do you mean losing out for nothing? You wouldn't have lost him out for nothing. You would have still retained his rights. Okay, look at me going out there and trying to correct what an NHL GM is saying about a guy that he used to have. But the article then says here, on June 27th, the Islanders traded Dobson to the Canadiens in exchange for forward Emil Heineman and the team's 2 first-round picks, 16th and 17th overall, which became Victor Eklund and Kashan Aitchison. Win-win. By acquiring the 25-year-old defenseman, the Canadiens offered him an 8-year deal. This was an amount that suited Dobson, but one that the Islanders didn't necessarily deem appropriate to offer him. From our side, I had the value I wanted to pay for him. Later, maybe we'll say we should have given him a certain amount, but at that time, that's what I believed, Darche explained. The former player also believes that selecting the promising Mathieu Schaefer could have allowed him to trade Dobson. The GM spoke at length with Jean-Charles Lajoie about his young defenseman during their interview. I hope it works out well for the Canadiens, and at the same time, I hope my 2 draft picks will help us for several years. Currently, Emil Heineman is also playing very well for us, said Darche. That's what the best trades are like, when both teams are happy. There isn't always a winner and a loser. It's possible that there are 2 winners who each get what they need. Time will tell, but for now, the Canadiens and the Islanders can boast of having pulled off a great deal. And for the most part, I would honestly agree with that. You take a look at Emil Heineman and see what he's been doing for the Islanders this season. I mean, this guy's been nothing short of super clutch. He's been producing. He's got 7 points in 11 games. He's on pace for 37 goals, which I don't know if he'd necessarily hit that just 1 year after hitting only 10. But he's got a lot of goal support with this New York Islanders team. And we all knew, Montreal Canadiens fans, we all knew that this guy had a shot, and he was definitely able to throw pucks towards the goal in a way that very few around the NHL could. And now he's really displaying that with the Islanders. Him and Simon Holmstrom, you got Jonathan Drouin on that power play unit. It's a really interesting dynamic that this Islanders team has so far. And of course, Mathieu Schaefer, just doing all the things that he's doing, breaking records and finding the back of the net too. Look at Bo Horvat. What a guy. What an amazing trade target as well. 12 points in 11 games. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's continue on with Noah Dobson and end off this video, because ultimately, the Montreal Canadiens got almost exactly what they needed. With the departure of David Savard and the instability of David Reinbacher and Logan Mailloux, there was a need for an immediate right-handed defenseman who could be a number 1 guy. Carrier is not that guy. So having Dobson in the fold, absolute gift from the New York Islanders, and the price that the Habs ended up paying was one that was due to discipline. And through years worth of building proper habits and proper draft capital. The Habs were able to shell out 2 first-round picks in Heineman because they didn't really need those assets. And now, they got somebody who helps out big time. So, Mathieu Darche, he's kind of right here. Even though he says that he wanted to sign Dobson, that was his main goal, they didn't end up getting it done. And he wasn't willing to go to that dollar amount that Dobson got with Montreal. Even though that's the case, he goes out there and says that, hey, we're very happy with the trade, we like the guys that we got, and Emil Heineman's doing well. That's the best trades, right? Both teams are happy. If you agree with the sentiment, you can let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, you can hit that like button or dislike button if you didn't like the video. But either way, those comments help out with the algorithm, so I'd really appreciate it if you left them. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.